Today's case will suit if you are a retiree or if you are really reaching retirement in the next few years ahead. And let's dive onto it right away. I like to plan for both my husband and I as a couple together. My husband, aged 66, retired 11 years ago, but took another job as a low-pay delivery driver. I'm a real estate salesperson, aged 62 coming. We have no children. My mom's aged 86, in good health. I support in her financial needs. Potentially my aunt, aged 76, may need my help too. Both my mom and aunt has HDB flat and it's rented out. Now, room rental is really viable because right now the market is hot. It's actually not too difficult to find good tenants, profiles that you like, people that you are happy to stay with. And in this instance, I think they've done the right thing to bring in additional income, because if there's no financial constraints and stuff, I think there's no need to rent out a room. But quite clearly, they needed this income, and we'll touch on a bit more down the way. And I've actually visited one of my previous staff. She's quite old already. This is just a quick snapshot. She's renting out a room also, and I think it's going to help her bring in more retirement income. So especially if you're elderly, staying with someone isn't that scary or difficult. That income will definitely help you pay medical bills and remove away that financial stress. So I'm very supportive of renting out rooms at least. Then the other thing to consider is, how about HDB reverse mortgage? Now, news has actually mentioned before that many seniors are monetizing their flats to boost retirement income, and this is via the lease buyback scheme that HDB actually has. It's not as scary as it seems. Go down to HDB, visit an officer, and they'll show you how much you can monetize. There are actually a few packages that you can choose from. So find one that fits you, and in this instance, they don't have children. Monetizing it actually makes a bit of sense, and we'll touch on again in a quick while. I've done my own financial planning worksheets with assets categorized and a rough yearly retirement plan come with inflation. I'm not trained, so not sure if I'm planning it correct, and not good in knowing how to deploy money into investments as well. Now, this is a very good point actually. Have a retirement or financial planning worksheet. Even if you are retired, you need to manage your budgets also. So don't think that you have cash flows and stuff, you're fine. It's actually a very important period to keep control of your expenses, know how much outflow is, and as you can see in the case later, if there's a depletion of your funds, there is a bit more fear. If you know your inflows are matching your outflows, you can go holiday in peace. So very important, manage your budget, especially in retirement. Then the other part about not knowing how to deploy monies into investments. I think in her instance, she's working as a real estate salesperson. Since real estate has some affinity with her, deploying more towards real estate is actually how I would pursue if I were her. For my case, I'm very well versed in accounting and numbers. That's why I do a lot of stock investments. But for her case, it's actually okay to not have too many financial assets. On the other hand, if you don't know too much about real estate, you don't know too much about stocks and financial instruments, then maybe being neutral and having some of everything makes a bit more sense. Let's read on further. My husband likes to retire anytime from now. Me, not so aggressive, but remain serving my existing clients. So like to know if you are able to help people in my age group plan. Now, this portion that husband likes to retire anytime soon, I've also a question. Previously, he was retired at age 55. Then came out of retirement to do some freelance or part-time-ish job. Is it out of boredom or out of necessity? Because if it's out of necessity, I think that's because expenses are bigger than inflows. There's that fear. Then the other thing about her still happy to serve existing clients, I think in real estate sales or insurance sales, the good part is you can actually do in retirement also. As long as you have clients, you can still service them and earn recurring income. For her, I guess she has some elderly folks, friends, and she can just rent out their houses and earn some income from there. So it's also good to have, like a semi-retirement kind of a job that's freelance based in real estate or in insurance. These are further details. Husband and wife are both Singaporeans, and in this year, husband has 158,000 in retirement account. Wife, which is her, has 296,000 in retirement account. That means she's been topping up either via her remaining OA and SA or topping up by cash. So that's why her RA is probably at enhanced retirement sum. They've both got MediSave account, they have some Shield plans, they have ElderShield, which is important. ElderShield covers you for disability needs, pays you a cash flow. If you're disabled, you get extra cash flow because you need maid, you need medicine and stuff. Whereas Shield plan, that covers your hospital liabilities. OA and SA are too small and negligible. Maybe for a case she's topped up to her retirement account. And the couple's yearly income is $85,000. That's actually not too bad. That's like $7,000 per month, correct? So later we'll discover deeper numbers. Next portion is on insurance. We'll come back to this. And let's lead next to the part of her income. Where are the sources from? The first is a self-occupied condo with current value of $1.5 million. Not too small, pretty good size. I think this is from her mom's and her auntie's room rental. Iskandar Properties, totaling $780,000. Total monthly rent income is $5,350, which equates to $64,000 per year. No outstanding loan. That's actually quite good, you know. In retirement, don't have loans. Loans make you have headaches. You need to repay them. You miss them. There's charges and stuff. You need to understand when we get to older age, a lot of numbers we can't really manage too well. So simplified equation, no loan. I'm very supportive of that. Which means also you are not forced to sell assets because of the pressure of paying off installments or loans. That means also that the active income works out to be about $21,000, which is $1,800 per month. At present, annual outgoing expenses are $100,000. I think that is where the fear is coming in. Total income is $85,000, expenses is $100,000. They are losing $15,000 a year or about $1,200 per month in terms of cash. So there's depletion. You know, if you have been in between work before, you know your bank account starts to drop, that fear starts to kick in, correct? In retirement, the problem is you're not going back to full employment. That drop could be permanent, and that's why that fear is hard to overcome. This outflow consists of insurance premium $30,000, mom's expenses $20,000, personal expenses $17,000 only, home and properties $22,000, car $10,000. Know that again, car COE is until 2026. Luckily, now COE's price is all-time high, 100 plus thousand for Cat B. And also, okay, 2026, they'll be 3 years older, may not be able to drive already. You know, when we reach the age of 65, we need to do yearly eye checkup to prove that we can still see things. So driving in old age, not too easy. May not need to renew their car COE, so let's think about it down the years. But the part that I'm a bit stuck on is, wow, couple personal expenses of $17,000. So many times we see, fellow people say that we need $5,000 in retirement, $8,000 in retirement, etc., etc. I understand there's some inflation adjustment to things, but as we can hear from this couple, when you're old, you really don't need too much things around you. You're not going to drink alcohol, you're not going to pay a lot of income tax, you're not going to have a lot of very expensive holidays. You may not have the mood for all these really. So very simple life. So as we can see, 1,300 for both. That kind of lifestyle, but maybe that's also too frugal. There's a lot of things in life to enjoy, especially in old age. Now, speaking about income as well as costs, there are a few components going out to insurance as well as the properties. That's why I've actually quizzed her a bit further. She mentioned that condo room rentals, $2,650. Also, they're also renting out the condo, the one that they are living in. HDB flat rental income $2,007. I think both rooms from auntie and mom, something like that. Iskandar condo currently vacant. Looking for tenant, estimated 2,600 ringgit, which is about 800 Sing dollars. Iskandar landed own use for holiday, but actually finding this turns us into a physical cleaning slave. Mr. Lu, I think you might need to face this hassle. Initial plan was to use JB's house for stay and then rent out Singapore properties for safe and high use. So I actually quizzed her on the Iskandar property as well as the Singapore properties a bit further. She's mentioned, I chose Iskandar in 2009 landed and 2012 condo. Also, that's 2. So that I can easily in and out for work. Safety concern is the first priority. I stayed there happily from 2011 to 2015. Wow. So it goes to show that living there is not as scary as it seems. Rented out Singapore condo to get 15% returns. Wow. I think this is on purchasing price. Now, many of us have this concern on REITs right now. Maybe this is a good time to bring it up. Because I've mentioned that I'm very favorable on REITs. I've poured some of my capital towards REITs also recently. Now, Keppel DC REIT 10 years ago did an IPO at 93 cents. You can go and check it out. Which means also, if you have bought the IPO, held it all the way throughout, at today's 10 cents dividends per share, you actually be getting more than 10% in yield if you have bought it from IPO. So again, let compounding take its effects. If the rent income, or in this case dividends per unit increase, over time you'll be rewarded hugely for dividend investing. Reading on further, she came back to Singapore to stay because of terrible traffic jam. Take note again, that can happen, maybe at Causeway also. At the same time, Singapore condo tenant requested to allow them to remain. They will just be happy to take one room and become room tenants. So she's also unsure to keep to the plan to retire in JB or to sell off and rent any part of Malaysia or nearby countries. The JB condo with direct bus service to Singapore was intended for my mum and aunt to stay and rent out their 3-room HDB flat to make their living. But now they are not too ready for this idea. So they're also thinking whether they should dispose of these properties one day or not. You know, old folks, they are hard to change. My own mum also I can't change. So I came to realize that asking them to move, it's always hard. We children, we are from different generation. We might think, hey, that's the most optimal way, what? But don't go that path of trying to change old folks too much. Sometimes the convenience, sometimes the familiarity is important. It helps in their mental health also. If they move to a new place, they're isolated, they don't like the new environment, they whole day stay at home, you realize mentally they start to deteriorate very fast. So if an old folk is healthy, happy in a current place, don't move out. I think that's also what I'm trying to hint. And the next part is on insurance premiums. ILP, investment linked plan, 3,500 per year. Life insurance, 10,500 per year. That's a lot. I'll be interested to know when they complete premiums because that's very important. A lot of plans, they have a finite premium payment period. So know that, do your Excel sheet properly so you know when that cost drops off. It gives you a lot more assurance. In any case, when you buy whole life plans, I always suggest compress the premium. Don't drag it for a lifetime. Don't drag it for 25 years even. You realize it's very ineffective. You must buy a term plan already. The whole idea is you prepay it, remove it from books, and next time you just enjoy the benefits of it fully paid. And if you remember, just now there was this segment whereby I mentioned we will come back to it. And let's read on together. Couple total life insurance value $513,000. Investment $73,000, yield of 5%. Is it REITs, banks, or unit trust funds in high yield bonds? Not too sure. 17,000 of poor return stock. FD of 70,000, cash of 20,000. Maybe I'll take a pause over there. That means FD and cash 90,000. Not too bad actually. I've mentioned before, in retirement age, you might need to keep more emergency cash savings than when you're young. When you're young, you can be aggressive. Keep 6 months will do, especially if your job is stable. But for their case, they are elderly already, which means income sources, you can't replace it too easily. You can't go back to find work too quickly. That's why 18 months of expenses is what I usually suggest for people who are elderly in retirement years or going to retire. And I think they've achieved that 90,000 inside the bank account already. But let's touch on the 513,000 total life insurance value. If that's the case, that's pretty good. Some sources whereby they can cash out pretty easily. As we have heard, they don't have children, which means this life insurance value has very little meaning for living behind as legacy. Some of the components could be in critical illness. I hope there is. But as always, I've mentioned before, in retirement, the critical illness component does not have a lot of value. Critical illness coverage, in my approach, is always to cover loss of income. You can't work due to cancer. You want a payout, you take early retirement. In retirement already, there is no need for early payout lump sum. Yes, there is reasons such as alternative treatment and stuff, I get that. But the bulk of the medical bills that are not voluntary is covered by your Shield plan. Mentioned here, investment-linked ILP insurance monthly payout $700 to husband, age 70 to 85, 15 years. Final dividend of $66,000. The wife will also get monthly $700 from 65 to 80, also 15 years. Final dividend of $63,000. I quizzed her a bit on this plan, and it's actually a company's retirement saver plan. And from my understanding, that's actually not an investment-linked plan. Investment-linked plans have no guarantee. It's fully invested into funds that you choose. So this should be categorized as an endowment plan. And in this instance, we would realize that the payout will take 3 more years to come, correct? The proper planning process is we have stages of cash flows coming in rather than have everything coming out 3 years together. That would be not too helpful, especially now that they are negative in cash flow, like what I've learned so far. And then the next part is there's a final dividend of $66,000 and $63,000. And there's no dependents to leave it to, correct? So how I like to plan typically at the start, now it's a bit too late, is at the start of the process, understand what you buy this plan for. If you don't have dependents, leave it, decumulate it fully. There are plans which don't have a final dividend and they are able to pay you more per month. Those are the plans that will fit your situation better. So purchase those at the start rather than now there's this block of $66,000 that will come in at 80 and 85, which does not have a lot of purpose. By then you get a lump sum. You've been too frugal for the last 15 years is very not optimal. And as always, if you are looking for financial advice, how to plan out your retirement, what plans to acquire, some plans you don't like, you like a second opinion, how to revise it. These are things I cover in a full retirement planning basis. I look at investments, I look at insurance, I look at CPF. If you are currently working and earning high income, I'll also show you what you can optimize in terms of the various schemes in Singapore like CPF and SRS. And as always, if you like a fee-based approach, let me know in the links below. I can be reached from there. Back to the story. That means also the investment-linked plan of $3,500 may be a different plan that's not yet mentioned. This should be categorized as life insurance because endowment is under life insurance. But all in all, I think they have some plans and it's good to know that they have value that they can cash out. Because this leads to the next question. Is it practical or is it possible for them to retire anytime from now? They are assuming they need to survive until 90 to 95, taking account all this inflation into their retirement equation. Second question, any problem if delay to start the CPF life payout each until they reach the age of 70? I'll take a pause over here because these two questions relate to each other in some ways. I guess the fear that you are facing right now, the cash pile is dropping. If it weren't dropping, there wouldn't be that pressure. Your expenses are $100,000, your total income is $85,000 per year. And if stop work, then that drops down to $60,000 and the gap becomes very big. That's why that fear. Medical costs may even step up as you guys age. So the biggest fear is your cash pile is dropping. That's why the first thing I was thinking also is, on hindsight, topping up to retirement account, that $296,000 when you mentioned at the start, maybe it wasn't such a good idea after all. Because, when you keep the monies in special account or ordinary account, there's also rate of return to it and it's still liquid once you have full retirement sum. This also relates to a common question I've seen on channel. Should one transfer special account to retirement account for enhanced retirement sum? Only do that process if your special account is not needed for day-to-day needs. Because it's one direction only. You really have other sources, you pump it to RA to get enhanced retirement sum so that you have that cash flow coming in. If you may need it, then you are better off keeping it in special account. I hope that answers that question also. That leads me to think, you are better off not delaying your payouts of CPF Life until the age of 70. You might really need it at 65 for your case, which is in 3 years' time. This compresses the problem to only 3 years. Can you survive these 3 years until that payout starts to come in? Make sense? And 3 years later, do note also that the endowment plans which you purchase, the two of them, 700, they will start to pay out. Which means your problem after 3 years' time is really going to be resolved by quite a lot of sources. So the Thing is, survive this 3 years. There's no need to compound monies in CPF life further. I don't think that helps your equation too much. The key problem is not 15, 20 years later. The key problem is the next 3 years. Prioritize that. Question number 3. As a couple with no children, do you think it's wise to materialize the assets to support the living costs when shortfall in cash? I've noted on the shortfall in cash. What would you advise the sequence to let go? Investment, life insurance, rental income, properties, or property downsize? I think as a couple with no children, you may not need to leave too much behind. $1.5 million private property, there's still HDB, there's still Malaysian property, there's still insurance plans. If both of you guys suddenly pass away, there's a lot left behind, and that's not your key worry actually. So that's why I'm in favor of monetizing some of these assets. That's why I'm leaning towards doing reverse mortgage on your condo. There are methods right now that banks actually provide. Now, the main part is this. If you sell your current condo and you want to downgrade to HDB to cash out some amounts, you might need to look at 4-room and below. That's because of the 15-month cooling period that you probably already know working in the real estate agency. Property downsize is the hardest. Too many moves. You need to move out of the house even. And rental income might start to drop. Your equation will change. I think this option is only useful if you are thinking super long term. You want a new renovation and a new place. Then yes, you bite out this 15 months. Maybe move to your mom's place or something. I would instead prefer to sell the JB properties. I don't think Ringgit is going anywhere north. You know, recently there are more bad news of Iskandar properties coming out on the market. I think sentiment is going to stay weak for a very, very long time. But if you really see it as a retirement home, you think it still makes sense, or the losses are just too big, you don't want to take that option, what I'll suggest is let go of investments if market is bullish. If it's not, like what you have said, it's not performing too well, then it's actually okay to let go of some of the life insurance. Not the one that's going to pay you out 700 per month. Other life insurance plans that you may have, they have cash values. Things like whole life plans, because those, you only get a cash value when you surrender a plan. Look for a qualified advisor. Decide which ones to cash in when you don't see the purpose of that coverage any further. Hopefully I've touched on several important points. Also, for you listening in, if you have questions on this case, leave in the comment sections. If you have benefited, smash on subscribe. To learn more on retirement planning and how you can actually understand finances in Singapore. And thank you for watching right to the very end. With that, I'll sign off from here and see you in a future video. If you haven't seen either of these, let me invite you there and I'll sign off from here. Take care as always. Goodbye.